Let me hear you say, oh yeah. Trust you, me, I blow up shop. About to blow the roof right off of hip hop. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body.
M-I-double-S-S, your best from VAA. And I be smoking hay all day in the barn, damn it, darn. Puff Daddy be my pal when I hee. I took your number one spot, I jump, skip, then I hop. I'm so hot, so you can't forget me. Not to the yes, y'all. I'ma take a pause, cause I be feeling myself like I was T-Ball. Puff Daddy make 'em cream. The L-Y-T to the E make 'em scream. And I'ma show enough be the boss on this team. So all you MCs, how I miss it, make the green.
I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. Shady.
That's right.
That's me, complicated rap star, meet like the MC. You see, I'm on to your baby and your mechanism. How you hit it when you're in it so hot, you keep it sizzling, the ooh-ah-she-ooh. And all of that too, keep me wetted in the waters of Kalamazoo. Who you come in with when your posse at? But leave the boys alone, tell her you won't be back. I got the cheese, baby, my cheddar's better. I got that milk, for that I'm a redder. Trust you, me, I'll blow up shop. Have a little nigga calling the cops, watch. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body, body, body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body.
Upside down, you turning me. Round and round, you turning me.
I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body. I rock the party that rocks the body. You rock the party that rocks the body.
Upside down, you turning me. Round and round, you turning me. Upside down, you turning me. Round, turning me.
Let's get it crunk up on that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance for me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me.
Come on, everybody, get on down, cause you know we got to get it wrong. Mary J is in the spot tonight, and I'ma make you feel alright. Come on, baby, just party with me. Let loose and set your body free. Leave your situations at the door, so when you step inside, jump on the floor.
Let's get it crunk up on that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance for me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me.
It's only gonna be about a matter of time before you get loose and start to lose your mind. Cop you a drink, go ahead and rock your eyes, cause we're celebrating no more drama in our lives. With the great track pumping, everybody's jumping. Go ahead and twist your back and get your body bumping. I told you leave your situations at the door. So grab somebody and get your ass on the dance floor.
Let's get it crunk up on that fun up in this dancery. We got y'all open, now you're floating, so you got to dance with me. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancery. Let's get it percolating while you're waiting, so just dance for me. Don't need no haters,
Y'all, we don't need no.
just trying to love one another. We just want y'all to have a good time. No more drama in your life. Work real hard to make a dime. If you got beat, your problem, not mine. We all got BS outside. We gonna celebrate all night. Let's have fun tonight, no fights. Turn that rage back way up high. Making you dance all night, and I got some real heat for you this time. Doesn't matter if you're white or black. Let's get drunk 'cause Mary's back. Let's get drunk up. Let's get drunk up.
Yes. Because sometimes you just need to be in the dancery. You know what I'm saying? Bonus points to anybody who knows what the dancery was. There's all of this like, oh no, she was really saying dance soiree. I'm just saying, as long as I've been alive, I've never heard it referred to as a dance soiree, but that's neither here nor there. Welcome, welcome everybody. We're gonna have our own little dancery here tonight. As we kick off, HipHopEX kicks off its programming for November. November is Hip Hop History Month, but we were like, yo, let's give some love to the ladies. So we're having our Hip Hop HERstory week, and it's a hashtag movement Monday. So y'all know we had to get it started, get it pumping, get it jumping with a dancery, where we are talking with amazing, fantastic, like this panel tonight is just, it's bananas. I'm gonna have to sit on my hands because I'm a true fan of each and every one of these women who are here today. So again, welcome everybody. As you come in, please drop a little line in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. We'll also direct you if you need to want to share with any folks. They can come into the webinar, or we're also live streaming on HipHopEX's YouTube page. There's a link in the chat, and also on my Facebook page. Not because I'm more important than HipHopEX, but because I'm still learning this tech, y'all, and how to get it to go to a page. Somebody send help. All right, so we got New York in the building. We had some Queens love. I saw Akron, Ohio was representing. We want to know where everybody is today. So I'm Aysha Upchurch, and I am joining Long Island. What up? I'm joining you all from Boston, Massachusetts. I am the founder and director of HipHopEX, which is an intergenerational programming initiative to leverage the beauty and the power of hip hop to create places of contact, of community building for folks of all ages, all backgrounds, to deepen our love and appreciation of hip hop culture. So we're in our third year. And in our third year, in the middle of what I like to call COVID Ed, we're taking advantage of these virtual streets to bring together people in your Zoom room or in your live stream thread, wherever you are, so that we can get into some conversations. And so we know, had this been another like typical year, we would be leaning in the cypher live and direct with each other. Yet we are gonna still welcome the spirit of hip hop, make this Zoom space, this rectangular space, a spectacular place where we can create the ethos of a cypher as we lean in and learn with and from each other. All right, so virtual background behind me is shouting out what today is. We're gonna keep talking about keeping and moving and how women and girls in hip hop are transforming the dance and the culture. And so to get me out of the way, I'm gonna introduce our fantastic panel. So I gotta read from a script because I don't wanna miss none of this. All right, so first up we have LadyBeast. LadyBeast has represented the pop and battle dance scene in the East Coast for 14 years, simultaneously highlighting women and Black women more specifically. She's opened up for artists such as Roxanne Shante, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Ciara. Within that time, she's danced alongside Snoop Dogg on The Queen Latifah Show, a Ladies of Hip Hop and Book of Styles winner. She's also those. Also in 2009, one of the first females to reach the Poppin' Finals at the Hip Hop International. Yo, like I've seen LadyBeast in person. maybe we will be so honored this evening. She's also been a featured actress in 2 movies called The Way Back, Way Back, and I Feel Pretty, which are currently streaming on Amazon Prime Video and Hulu. Go ahead and put your virtual real hands, blue hands, digital hands together as we welcome LadyBeast. Yo, just a little taste. Just had to give them a little taste, Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so very much. We're very lucky to have you, Aysha.
Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. Listen, I'm really gonna have to sit on my hands because I'm so beside myself. So up next, I'm gonna introduce our next panelist. So LaTasha Barnes is an internationally known and awarded dancer and tradition bearer of Black social dance forms. Her expansive skills have made her a frequent collaborator to dance organizations throughout the world. Barnes also serves as chair of Board of Trustees for Ladies of Hip Hop Festival, board member for Black Lindy Hoppers Fund, Frankie Manning Foundation, co-director of Hella Black Lindy Hop, and contributing member to Nefer Global Movement Collective. Her crafted master's in ethnochoreology, Black studies, and performance studies through New York University's Gallatin School aims to bridge the gap between communities of practice and academic cultural dance research. Barnes's forever purpose is to inspire fellow artists and arts enthusiasts to the mantle of artivism in their creative expressions and daily lives. Y'all put your hands together for LaTasha.
What up? Thank you for having me.
Of course. This also feels like a little mini reunion because it's been a minute since I've seen LaTasha and I'm so excited. Okay.
Minutes. DC in the house. Ew.
Forever. Okay. All right. So next up on our fantastic panel of just insane dopeness is Anna Rokafella Garcia, who is a New York City native, whoop, whoop, who has represented women in hip hop dance professionally over the past 2 decades. Presently an adjunct professor at the New School and curator for the NYPL Oral History Archive, she motivates aspiring dancers to understand the roots of hip hop and to learn the business side, of being an independent artist. Rokafella is a multifaceted hip hop artist who references street and Afro-Latino culture as her foundation. This sister is the truth. Put it together for Rokafella.
Big dog. Yeah. One shot, big dog.
This is the
One
remix.
shot, big
Come on.
dog.
This is the
One
remix.
shot, big
Come on.
Yeah, I like
This
this.
is the remix. Talk to me.
Remix.
When I come through the door,
That's good, y'all.
so you wanna see my shake
Get it. Get it.
What's good?
Come on. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much, Rocka, for being with us today. Like, it's also beautiful to like be in a space with you. You've been so foundational to my own journey in this world. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. The love that's happening tonight is real, y'all. That's not fake. All right. So certainly not least, but last to be introduced on our panel tonight is Michele Byrd-McPhee. She is the founder and executive director of Ladies of Hip Hop. Woo, woo. Michele has been working for many years to recontextualize spaces and conversations of hip hop culture along gender, sex, cultural, and socio-historical and racial lines for decades, along with situating the arts and dance techniques in spaces that honor and acknowledge their roots and the many creative pioneers who have shaped them. Hallelujah, ashe, and amen. Okay. Okay, come through with that. I'm sorry, I just feel that. Michele earned her BS from Temple University and an MS in nonprofit arts management for Drexel. Y'all, go ahead and get real hype on your virtual feet for Michele.
I know my enemy pray on me, so pray for me. Tick, tick, wait on it. I'm keeping down my body count. I'm finessing like a trap bounce, yeah. Cause every day above ground is a blessing. I done leveled up now, view panoramic. None of my fears can't go where I'm headed. Had to cut them loose, now I'm loose, break the levee, yeah. I'm about to blood on the sinner. The rain and thunder gon' fall, gon' move, tumbo. No, sinner. You condemn my life. Cause when we walk up in the club, I need them sirens going off. Then we can look up in the sky. Till we cry, let us know that we alive, yeah. Give me goosebumps every time.
Yes.
It's a whole mood tonight. Thank you so much for having me. What up, ladies? I'm so honored to be here among this panel of dopeness.
It seriously is. It seriously
Right?
is.
This
So
is like the Monster Squad.
I'm I feel it. So again, thank you all. Listen, we know how these things go. At this point, what is this, month number 275 of being in Zoom universe, right? What is time? And I don't know where y'all are, but the sun sets at about 2 p.m. now. So I'm like, really, what is time? What time is it? I know that we don't have the eternity of time. And I know as people of the diaspora, we know how to loiter and congregate, but we will be respectful of time. So we are gonna get things started because we definitely want to open up space for folks to drop in questions so we can take some feedback and have a dialogue. Listen, full transparency, I chatted with our amazing panelists before. This is meant to feel like a conversation, not like some clinical academic probe, but we are here. Oh, yes. This is why dancers and Zoom are best friends and don't go together, because we can't be still. There's like a gesture for everything.
We be like banana.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're here for all of that. Again, this is a space where, like, y'all don't feel pressure to be censored. Yes, HipHopEX works out of an initiative funded by the Harvard Graduate School of Education. But as we know, and I say all the time, hip hop never needs the stamp of the academy. So do not feel like you got to containerize or perform some other version of yourself other than what is authentically divine and dope. And that's what we're here for. So, and I also extend that to our viewers that, you know, hip hop gonna do what it do wherever it is anyway. So let's not get into here and pretending. So I just want to yes, you can speak in first draft. Oh, I'm gonna cite you on that. That's Aysha.
Yeah, you can go back and, you know, put the whiteout on it and then retype it. It's all good. I'm from that whiteout generation.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, you know, there wasn't even no backspace on my typewriter. I said typewriter, so there's that. Anyway, y'all see what happens is family reunion, Red Cup style in here tonight. So I'm gonna offer a couple of questions to as a springboard for us to have a dialogue. Each of you are amazing artists, educators, humans, organizers, leaders, and you're women and you're in hip hop. So we definitely want to use this whole week as a space to go, let's elevate the conversation around women and girls in hip hop beyond the typical, like, who's trending on Twitter or who's trending because they just on bad behavior status. So we definitely want to make sure that folks understand that there's so many more dimensions to this, and we have 4 pillars just getting the work done. So I'm going to start with a little jump off question for those who may not know you all. I know a little bit about most of everybody, but just offer everybody to respond, like, you know, you and hip hop, how'd you meet and how did that turn into you saying, I'm going to be in this lane as a dancer in hip hop? Yeah. Where'd you meet and how did you know, like, dance, me, hip hop? Yes. 5, 6, 7, 8. Do this double dutch style. Whoever feel like, listen.
We trying to be nice. We're like, who wants it? Who wants it?
You got to see who unmics first. That's how it works in Zoom land.
True.
See, you should have said it was a battle. Then it would have been different. We would have been like, it would have been different. This was like mad polite. It started real polite, so we were like,
okay, well then shoot. Let me
go ahead.
She right. Oh, word. Take them
Right,
off.
we all got them, right?
Hold on. Put it back.
You set it up wrong. Yo, go ahead, Rock.
I mean, it was happening all around me. People were dancing. You know, my household is Latin, so there's like always a party. You know, I remember just knowing that dance was something we could celebrate and do, but I wasn't trying to have it like be my career. And then you go and tell immigrant parents that you want to dance for all the immigrant sacrifices. You just want to dance. And then the dance that I wanted to do, break dance, you know, so they were like, oh yeah, we cleaned them toilets, we wiped all them floors, so you could just throw your body on the floor? No. So I didn't know it was gonna be a career until later. It had to be like, maybe I was 18, that I was like, oh, I wanna do this. I want to be on stage, I wanna battle, I need to establish myself. When I was dancing on the street, I got lost a little bit in the street life. And it wasn't until I let go of the vampires and the vultures and the leeches that then doors started to open. And then I realized if I am skilled and masterful and I know like the lineage, the connection, the historical connection, like I have a lot started to open like ammo. I have a lot of, if I am skilled, I have a lot of ways to protect myself as I navigate this male dominated genre. So it wasn't until late, I want to say 22, that then, you know, I got a clue. I got like really disciplined and committed, taking notes, studying. And as I said, the magic carpet was like waiting for me to jump on and go. But yeah, it really it was not clear to me as a youth at all. So yeah.
Y'all, I am not playing teacher today.
Okay, I'll go next. I'll go. I don't want to go to detention. Okay, so great story, Rock. It's a little bit age-wise for me, it's a little bit kind of like Rock, but for me, I would say hip hop was, I think it's just, you know, it was there, and I came from Canada in '89, so I didn't know any English or anything like that, but I'm really thankful for that time that we came in, because that's how I learned English pretty much. So, and at that time, you know, we had cable, it was MTV or BET. So that was when the music videos were really like apparent and really frequent. So I always mimic, you know, the dancers in the music videos, and then there was like in living color. So I didn't know that it was something that I love to do. I really thought everybody else was doing it. Like when I went to school, nobody else was doing it, and I thought they were weird for not. I'm like, you don't dance to music videos at home? Like I thought it was weird. So but it was just something that I always did, and I guess it was, you know, kind of like second nature. But I think I started kind of practicing more of popping back in '05, and this teacher named 3D, he taught me the terminology and the vocabulary that came along with popping. And he said, you know, you should start going to Slaughterhouse to go meet my teachers, because you catch on really fast. So I met Megatron and Shallow, and then they started training me in popping. And I was just doing it to break out of a routine. I really didn't know there was like this huge world of battling back in '06. I didn't know. I knew that there was hip hop dancers and different forms of dancing, but I wasn't aware that there was like a whole scene happening. And he was slowly pushing me towards that, but not forcing it. So when I met Megatron and Shallow, they pretty much trained me in the popping realm and all, you know, the technical aspect of it. And then I started battling in '06, but it was never something, just like Rock, it was never something that I planned to do. I think it's just something that follows you throughout life. You love it naturally, and then you find a community. And I think when you do start dancing, or your soul is calling for that, you're beating a drum and you're attracting, you're attracting, you know, different spirits who have that in common with you. So.
All right. Thank you, Beast and Rock, for sharing your stories. I'm gonna jump in. Um, my story is a little, I mean, actually it's very similar. You know, I think most Black and Latino people have the same story of like growing up dancing with your family, you know. And I just turning 50 actually this year, had the same, you know, kind of
I'm sorry.
um
I think we had a bad connection.
yeah, man, I'm owning it, you know. I think
Girl,
it's
You're
a
looking good too.
accomplishment.
Shit, you're
Thank you,
looking
sis.
good.
Are you
Thank you,
eating
sis.
shea
I am
butter? Like,
trying
what is the regimen, sis? Sorry.
not eating shea butter.
who said she put it down on her peanut butter and jelly and shea butter?
Who said that? No, listen, listen, this has been a long, hard battle. And actually, you know, I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but um although a tough time in the world for sure, and you know, obviously for reasons, you know, that we're losing people. But this time to sit still and this has been a blessing for me because, you know, it's been long, hard 50 years, but yeah, I mean, I grew up dancing with my family. You know, my mom did everything to music. My uncle worked at a radio station in Philly called WDAS. And so that we would get what they used to call white labels. So we would get vinyl that didn't, you know, it was like before it was released, you know, so they're like giving it out to everybody because they want to, you know, they want the DJs to play it on the radio. And so this was just, you know, as what we know now as hip hop music started to come along, you know, my uncle was, you know, just supplying, it was just something else that was played in the house, you know. So I do really have a love-hate relationship with that question because I think people want to know what that magical moment is. And I don't know that I have like a magical moment where I'm like, oh, I want to do hip hop. You know, it was just more music and more dance that we listened to. I think that there were many moments in my life that I was just like, I would see things going on in New York, either through TV or, you know, through videos and stuff. And I would, you know, think of that as a whole nother world. Like the way that we think of other countries, that's the way I thought of New York, you know. And but I was lucky enough to you know, have family and be from a city that was just so rich in music, like, you know, and so rich in dance and culture. So, you know, Philly had its own scene, you know, but it was so, you know, as I got older, I realized how close it was to New York. And, you know, so the music and the dance and dancers traveled back and forth. And then at some point, you know, I became one of those dancers like that had a hoopty, you know, I had a hole in the bottom of my car, the windshield wipers didn't work. And I was driving, I was going to the club. I remember specifically one night, like it was like snow raining, you know, that like kind of rain, but it's like snow at the same time. And what we would do is just turn the heat up so hot that it would just melt as it hit the windshield so that we could keep. And if I slowed down like beyond 50, like slower than 50 miles an hour, like I couldn't see where I was going because the wind was helping like take the, listen, I'm telling you, it was for real. Like it was for real at one point in my life. Like I lived for the club, and I always say I don't even know how we survived. Like I didn't know nothing about New York. I was coming up to New York. There were no cell phones. There's no web to look up anything. You know, it was a flyer or somebody called you and told you, you know, that thing, the landline, you know. And so for me, that was the magic. And realizing that I actually lived through that, like I actually survived coming back and forth. Like I was just walking around the streets of New York. I had no clue. And I knew nobody there. You know what I mean? Often there was many times I would just drive up by myself and then drive all the way back, you know? So that to me was like, I knew I wanted it to be part of my life somehow forever. But somebody put in their MapQuest. Yes, for the MapQuest. But you know, I knew I wanted it to be part of my life, but I did everything that I could do to get away from it, you know, because like Rock said, you know, even though I grew up with a creative mom who embraced dance, it was still at some point like, what are you going to do? And because I wanted to do that, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I ended up going to undergrad when I was 24. I was almost like, I turned 25 in the spring of that semester, you know. So I was older when I went to college because I didn't know what I wanted to do other than dance. And then I went and I was a social worker after undergrad, and it still called me back. And I found my way into like building a company and bringing people like Rock down. Once I actually got to meet them, you know, because I wasn't from New York, you know. So at some point, Rokafella, Tweety, Marge, all of them came into my life. And even before I knew them, like I know Rock came to the Painted Bride one time and was performing in Philly. And I was like, wow, these women are amazing, you know. And it just started my wheels churning because not I had a great experience bringing, you know, with men in the culture, but it just wasn't enough women around. And I know I'm kind of, let me shut up because I'm going too far. But anyway, those were my moments of like, yes, this is, I'm going to make a career and I'm going to figure it out. And I did somehow. So, but yes.
Oh my goodness. And no for the shutting up, because we all were just like enthralled, like, and I remember that. And like, oh, right. Let me take notes on that because I forgot about that. And yeah, that's right. It's beautiful. But yes, much love to all of y'all because I'm like, oof. I'm pretty sure I met each of you in a cipher of some sort. Fairly certain about that. LadyBeast, I know for a fact that I met you at my very first dance event out of DC.
It was a Step Your Game Up, right?
No.
No, or before, man, another life ago. I don't know, maybe.
It was Unity and Respect.
It was. Wow. 07 or 06.
It was 07. 07 or 06. Whichever one Rashad and Junior were like. It was the second time.
Wow.
I digress. So how I met dance, I tell this story often. My mom loves to say that I was dancing before I was breathing. She says, because my dad was a DJ, thankfully. Whew, I get it honest. And my mom was a track and field star. My dad was a football player also, like back in the day. Anyway, he would DJ all the parties, all the community events. And when my mom was pregnant with me, she would go to his events. And of course, she said I was holding my own groove. So apparently I was polyrhythmic even then, because like her heartbeat was doing one thing and the song outside was doing another. And she said I would just be throwing her all off in her belly. She said, and I wouldn't calm down until she went and sat in a chair next to the speaker, like belly on the speaker. And then I would just chill out. So yeah. But I absolutely grew up dancing with my family. And I mean, to the point that it felt like perpetual rehearsals. Like they all were performers doing all the rec center things. And this was in Richmond, Virginia, by the way, Virginia. Yeah. But they grew up doing all the rec center parties and things. And my uncles were not so much older than me. Like they were older than me, but like the youngest is only like 10, 15 years older than me. And he was in a poppin' and boogaloo troupe. Like they had the gloves and the suits and everything. Like when they was little, they was dope. Oh yeah. And my uncles, of course, most of them sang as well. So they had like the whole Charlie Atkins Motown situation going on. And this was happening at all of the family parties, even to the point that, as Michelle knows, I teach often now because, you know, we try to teach from our perspective, all aspects of our culture and heritage. We have a Barnes family line dance. It's a thing. But that was like my first education platform about performance and like how coaching actually works in the dynamics of stage performance. Because if you couldn't hit that stop and spin in the choreography, you move to the back of the line, like the back of the formation. And not just like behind the front, like the back. And y'all know how that goes. And it was always, you know, just like James Brown sings in the song, hey, hit it. And like the family would call the thing. And if you weren't on time or if you couldn't recover on time, valuable performance trait also, that you had to shuffle it on back. But you also had to shuffle back in time or you got extracted from the entire formation as well. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to be a dancer. Like that's honestly all I ever wanted to be. From the time I could formulate words, I wanted to be a dancer. And anything moving to music or anything that was adjacent to that, I was like, okay, yeah. So I tried because growing up in the, as I call it, the NAACP generation, my parents were subscribing to this is what we should do to have a good and effective life and to raise you so that you can have every possible opportunity. So it was like, oh, she's got a talent for dance. She can move. She got rhythm. She got flow. Put her in a ballet class, which of course we all know. And for those who have seen me personally, I'm like not even 5 feet. And I'm just going to stop there. But I had an honest teacher. And some people, talk about it as like it was really racist, but she was really honest. And that was something that set me forth in the way that I communicate about my artistry and culture as well. But she was a Russian ballet teacher, so I did have the best of the best. We'll talk about that. But she was very honest and straight up. And even though from the age of 4 to 8, I progressed to point. Point at 8. She was like, you're really amazing, but you're never going to be a prima. You're never going to be a star ballerina. So you can continue, but you're never going to get the shine that you should. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I go to track and field. How about that? Athletics it is. So anything that was allowing me to explore power and rhythm and dynamics and using my body, I was all for. And that transcended into me being a cheerleader. Yes, competitive cheerleader. And that also seemed adjacent to dance. So I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And then that ended up circulating, like glossing over some things, but I joined the military, and then that turned into me being a fitness competitor. Yeah, I was number 2 fitness competitor in the nation back in 2002. Yeah, that's a thing. But have you seen fitness competitions? The crazy women on ESPN doing the 1-arm push-ups and like planks and press handstands and all that craziness. Yeah, it was amazing. I thought I was doing locking at one point, but thought I was doing locking. But anyway. Long story short, that progressed. I had a short-lived career as a hood ornament. It's a whole other thing, which led me to a physical therapist. Yeah, I was hit by a car, which led me to a physical therapist who told me to try dance therapy. And so all this time throughout the military and all these athletic endeavors, I was always dancing. So even at the NCO club, I was doing salsa and country line dancing and all of the different partner styles, everything. I was still just always dancing. It was always there in the background. And she told me to try dance therapy. Now I know she probably meant dance therapy. But from my cultural background, I was like, right, dance therapy. So I was like, let me find a hip hop class. I found a hip hop class, or what I thought was a hip hop class, but it was actually a popping fundamentals class labeled as a hip hop class. We talk about misnomering and miscoding Black culture another time. But it actually ended up being what I needed anyway, because it gave me command of my muscles again and allowed me to really get my flexibility and dexterity back. And my teacher then, Mr. Rashad Pearson, what's up, Rashad? Actually was like, your hit is dope because you've been lifting all them weights strong and bang on them. But you got a little extra like residual happening in your movement. You should talk to my mentor, Junius. And then I hit house and it was a wrap. Like a goofball in the back of the class. And that was it. I know it was long. I'm sorry.
Each one of y'all are a whole podcast. Like not an episode, but a whole podcast series.
I'll bring the cocoa butter.
That's better than a whole snack. A whole podcast. I love it.
I said the cocoa butter, I said.
Cocoa butter and jelly. That's what it is. That is what has happened. Everybody just heard it. Boom. So like, and the one thing I appreciate that I find, particularly in spaces that are being facilitated by folks of color, even more specifically women of color, like we understand that the chat box is completely necessary because we need to testify, chime in. That's not distraction. Like Rock said, that's writing and that's first draft life. Like that, and that actually doesn't need to be edited out. And so I'm also tracking how like you all's stories are even, I think it's a beautiful time. I think it's beautiful anytime we can just listen and learn from each other the stories that maybe we don't get to hear between the hustle and the bustle. So thank you all. And like, honestly, LaTasha, you have about 7 different series. Each one of you, like, we're not gonna get into that. Also, I was number 2 in the country. Also, I invented popcorn. Also, yes. So I'm just saying that I'm here for all of this. So I want to ask a couple of questions. It's open for everyone, but I might do a little targeting so that then I can step back and y'all can double dutch with each other, and we can also welcome in some questions from our, yes, see, you get movers on the Zoom. I feel like we can figure out how to make Zoom change its arrangement so we could even like be in a circle. Our squares could be in a circle. That's what I would want to see. Anyway, I digress. All right, so let me start with a very light question. I'll direct this one towards LadyBeast and Rock first, but of course, Michele and LaTasha, y'all could join in. But thinking about right, you all are multidisciplinary, dancers within hip hop and street dance. I know that I came to see you and know you, Rock, through Full Circle when y'all would come down to DC and do productions, and I'm like, yo, she bad dope, she's spinning and doing all the things. And then LadyBeast, I got introduced to you in Boston just a couple years ago, and I'm like, not really sure if they're better poppers and like animation, like I don't know. But particularly, I heard both of you all mention in your story about being in male-dominated spaces and in crafts where you saw a lot of male bodies. So I'm wondering if you all can share, like, how did you find and define your female body and your female movement within, and what is that? What is, if that's a thing, what is that? But how did you come to find that and define that in spaces where you did have amazing mentors and kind of door openers who were male? How did you all, as poppers, as breakers, how did you all find, what do I do with this feminine, this womanness, this girlness?
I think growing up with hip hop, because hip hop was growing up at the same time I was growing up, I missed the breaking wave. You know, I was very much a spectator when breaking was like fever pitch, you know, all the rage. You know, boogieing in New York City was fun too, but complex. I had no usher at that moment when it was like, you know, again, the trend, the fever pitch, everybody's doing it. I jumped in later when the other steps came in, you know, the Daisy Dukes, the Cabbage Patch, you know, all the rest of it. I was jumping in, and that was fun. You know, I had a place, me and my girls in school. It was great. It was later, you know, when things started to get a little more sexualized, a little more gangster. You know, I was kind of still trying to figure this out, you know, like you know, not a gangster. I'm trying to run away from the gangs in my neighborhood. I'm trying to, you know, find a new lane. And in terms of being like hypersexual, like, you know, I wasn't interested, you know, dealing with sexual violence, sexual harassment. I just wasn't interested in that. I actually loved when TLC and that whole look was out. It was like big jeans, big shirts. I was all in. I loved that. So I wasn't ready to navigate a sexual space as a girl, as a woman yet. I just wasn't, you know, and being Puerto Rican, people expect you to just, you know, put out, like, just come on, let's go. So growing up in the hood was a challenge with my own sexuality, going to parties, you know, then going downtown to the clubs, you know. Again, I was still too young. I had a fake ID, right? Because that's what we did. Witnessing a lot of things, trying to follow whatever is being done, you know, if it's like a push-up bra, okay, I'm in, you know, and then dealing with the consequences of that and being too young and like, you know, attracting older men, bouncers, a lot of shit happened. But, you know, then dancing on the street, like leaving the club, now dancing on the street, more of this, you know, trying to figure out how can I be a woman in here, you know, realizing that the harder moves that I can learn, the more props I get. Like, so that was really like, that's a formula that like really made sense to me. Like if I can hit the floor, if I can do some waves, if I can do like, you know, a W, you know, hit the floor, come back up, people tend to like say, you know, give me a pound or say, yo, that was dope, shorty, you know, instead of, yo, can you come home with me tonight? Or yo, I got a ride, you know, all of that. So I was trying to figure that out. be more on guard, be on defense, you know. And it wasn't until I started breaking, like actually studying the history, the music, you know, I made an audition and I ended up rolling with the Last Mohicans, you know, who were willing to still hold on to the old school vernacular, you know. So the, you know, Fable, Wiggles, Crazy Legs, Ken Swift, Quick Step, Odessa La Doc, Get Original. And, you know, so I got with that clique while the rest of hip hop was doing like the trends and, you know, moving forward with what's next. So I was lucky in that sense, because now I had like access to history, culture, music, you know, titles, artists. It was like being in college. It literally was, with some really mean professors, you know. So, and we traveled, and, you know, as every place that I went, people were like, oh, a girl, right? So now I'm starting to piece together, oh, I can be a woman in this male dominated space with all the history and information and big moves, knowing how to engage a circle, how to work within those rules of a cipher. So I think in time, I grew into my womanhood, and I always say hip hop raised me to be the woman that I am. A lot of hard knocks, took a lot of hits, you know, emotional, still going to therapy for some of them things, you know, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I think a lot of women go through this, and we're just trying to figure out now, how do we prevent the crushing and the smothering of women's spirits, young girls in particular, as they come through hip hop. So, you know, I was lucky, you know, Boogie Shake was my first boogie teacher. My boyfriend Rob taught me the rest. You know, I ended up rolling on, you know, with some hitters, and they were teaching me some floor moves. It wasn't until Quick Step, you know, took me under his wing, and I started to understand breaking and the vocabulary, the history, capoeira, you know, the Nicholas brothers. Then I could stand on my own too. But before then, it was treacherous and tricky, not knowing where to go or who I was. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Thank you. And like to hear that it's still a journey. I think that's also helpful for us to hear that there's not some mythical, magical one-time mountaintop place. That it's work. Like we will get somewhere, but not like, oh, one day I read a quote and then yay. I wish.
Right.
LadyBeast.
So I think before I touch upon the woman part, I think dancing, it helps a lot of people get, you know, achieve full circle moments and personal victories. And I think it stimulates memories that were suppressed. And it's not, this is just my experience, but it's not memories that were suppressed that were bad memories. But sometimes good memories can be suppressed where you're like, oh snap, like I remember that time. And most of the time it's stimulated by a song. So with dance for me, I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. And, you know, my mom worked all the time. She was the breadwinner. My parents are divorced, so my dad wasn't living with us, but I have a very close relationship with my dad as well. It's just as equal and healthy. But I've always been comfortable around the male setting because it was just me and my sister. And obviously, she was on her own journey and everything, but I never really connected that much with my sister feminine wise because she was more feminine than me. So I lean more towards, you know, being a tomboy, playing sports in high school and everything like that, like always into the physical activity, which is not necessarily like feminine, you know, when you're growing up or when you're learning yourself. But I think when I started to learn how to pop, I was trained by men, obviously. And I started going there more and more consecutively. And there were some women that would go in and out, but I noticed that I was still doing something that was physical and I was learning like more quote unquote like masculine movements. But because of the dance, it opened up other doors to other styles like house or whacking that where I feel like quote unquote more feminine movements or more fluid movements were more apparent in those styles. So I think by dipping into other styles, it helped me embrace my femininity more. And just seeing like the different movements that your body can do. And, you know, like the name is LadyBeast. So that name itself, I had to kind of like build a relationship on the name itself. I had to be like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, for at one point, I felt like my dad was the lady to my beast and my mom is the woman. You know what I mean? Like my mom represented the beast side. That was one, you know, evolution that I was going through. And then there was another evolution, not evolution, but a transition of, okay, like a graceful, like dancing gracefully, but aggressively. You know, that was another like thing that I was thinking about. But overall, I also thought about how like that's always kind of like a theme. There's always that one woman in that group, Junior Mafia or Rough Riders or Roxanne Shante. It's always been some type of theme where it's always kind of been like that. And it wasn't, and because of dance, I had to research myself. I had to research the game. I had to research hip hop. And it's something that's always going to be a learning lesson. And I think what's part of femininity is not always about how you carry yourself body wise. It's also your thinking. How do you approach something? Are you a lady about it? Are you graceful about it? Like, it's not always about an outer appearance. It's how you think, how you conduct yourself, you know? So that's been my journey. I'm still learning about it. We're always evolving. We're always going to change. We're not going to be the same people next year. So I hope that answers the question and I hope that made sense. So
all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, you know, how I like to say that there are answers to some things, but I'm really more interested in responses, right? Sometimes I think we get addicted to like, give me the final answer. Is that what you want to
Yeah.
And it's like, let me see what's your response. And so your response is beautiful, powerful, and perfect, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to offer that also women, I think we get conditioned within like a heteropatriarchal society to be apologetic for our perspective. And fuck that. So you know, I probably could use some other academic jargon, but first draft. Lord. So I want to pivot the next question to LaTasha and to Michele, who I know that you all have ladies of hip hop in common, but that's not to be the only lever kind of for this question, but as organizers, and you know, LaTasha, you have this mission towards artivism. Michele, thinking about the mission that drives the Ladies of Hip Hop Festival, which is how many years now? Because like I'm still blown. Like you had lied to people you was 50 earlier. So like how many? What are we?
Ladies of Hip Hop just wrapped 16 years, and then Rokafella was referencing the all-female company we had was 21 years ago.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh, 16 and grown, 21, legal, okay? So knowing that you all are, yes, when in doubt, body roll it out. Thank you, LaTasha, is the perfect embodiment to every question, every response, every thought that everybody is having. So I want to ask you two, and I know again, LadyBeast and Rock, y'all also are organizers, but thinking about this particular vehicle and this call to artivism, we hear the title like women in hip hop. Like, why is it important for Ladies of Hip Hop Festival and organizations to exist? And what is it perhaps that you all are endeavoring to do to change that kind of default frame around when we hear the language of ladies in hip hop? Like why this organization, and how are you all shifting the conversation? Particularly, I know that y'all just launched Girls of Hip Hop, which apparently I'm too old for. Trying to get my class on a Saturday. But also thinking about, and I think Rocky mentioned this, and also LadyBeast, like thinking about what's at stake for the little girls behind us. So what is Ladies of Hip Hop? What are you all endeavoring to do as individuals and as an organization to shift the narrative so that maybe the girls behind us or who are right with us right now don't have to enter this world from such a like deficit base?
Thank you for that question. It's a good one. I'm gonna try my best to stay on topic and focused. But I do have to just say one thing to what Rock said about doing the strongest moves, and then you have that different response. I just want to say that the first time I seen her, regardless of whether this was a conscious decision in her dance, and this is what I think is powerful about who we are as people and telling stories and getting to know them, is that when I saw her as the ultimate feminine being, right? I was like, this is what, yes, like, because she was so beautiful. And then she was like spinning on her head and like doing windmills. And I was like, holy shit, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, so, because for me, I feel like, I always say to people, I didn't necessarily have like this bad experience with men in the culture. I really didn't, because I grew up with a mother who raised 4 kids by herself, moved us from the projects to a house with a pool, like I had nothing but strong women around me. So for me, that wasn't the only reason why. One of the big reasons why was because I saw people like her, Marge, Tweety back then, and Rocco, she knows, Tweety used to wear pumps, like 4-inch heels to the club, and pop in heels, like, full hat clothing, the whole thing. And I used to be like, where are these women? And, because there was no like giving it over to the men, right? They jumped in the circles. They took over the circle. They lit it on fire. Good luck if you got in there after Marge. Goodbye. And I didn't know that many women. Like, I was just like, same thing in the spaces that I was in. I wasn't as iconic as them because I feel like they lived in a space and had to fight in a space where it was created. So it's a different story, But within my space, I was known to be that person, that woman, that girl, you know what I mean? And so I feel like even though she doesn't, you worked against that, I think you also kind of wrote the storyline for a lot of us to be able to, embrace our femininity, Marge for sure, right? And still be feminine and powerful. So I'm sorry, I had to say that. But lazy hip hop. So again, like, to be perfectly honest, the reason why it started was because when I started my company, which was after Full Circle, much after Full Circle was formed, and I had seen Rock and Rock used to have this Latin girl who danced for you, Salsa. She's a beast. And just like to see her whole company on stage and the what's his name that popped? I can't remember his name. Big guy that popped. I mean, like, Rock had a squad. They had a squad, her and Quick. And it was so impressive, And then we had Pure Movement. Rennie had Pure Movement in Philly, which was at the time only men. He's had women, before and after, but the time where he was the biggest in the industry, like where he was on his hot streak, it was only men. So there weren't any space for the women in Philly to dance. So I really created that, like, Ladies in Hip Hop, or actually I created Montage, which is the all-female hip hop company, because I knew so many dope women in the clubs that didn't have anywhere to go. So I was like, come on, we all gonna get together and we're gonna create some work. Like, that's literally how it started. And then I realized that most of them had either never been to a club or weren't going to the clubs that I'd been to. They hadn't been to Shelter. They weren't going to, at the time, what was going on was house dance conference. And even a lot of the parties in Philly, they weren't like, they didn't frequent clubs, And I wouldn't say Philly had such a big like street culture where we were outside doing stuff, but we definitely had like parties and clubs, and a lot of the gay clubs in Philly is where you had to go to hear house music. So, it's very specific. So we wanted to gather folks, I wanted to gather folks and be together. And then I noticed that they were missing that element, right? And so I started bringing in guys, like Stretch, all them to train my folks. But then I was like, I need to bring, like, something's still missing. I need to bring women. So I started bringing Marge. I brought Tweety. I brought Rock. I brought Honey Rockwell. There were some other female B-girls in Philly that also taught for me. I brought B-girl Mega from Rocksteady Crew. Is when we met back when I started doing that. And then I was like, I would get phone calls and people would be like, women would be like, can I come through? I heard you doing that training. Can I come through? And I was like, oh yeah, come on. And it just started getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, there's a need for this here in particular. And I wasn't thinking bigger globally, New York City. I wasn't thinking any of that. And then it just kind of grew from there, but it was really started out to just train my company. And then I saw a need and I made it a weekend once a year. And then I made it a week once a year. And then when I moved to New York, it was still a week once a year, but now we've started to branch out into other programming. And I will say what I've learned in the 16 years, and it originally started out much more self-serving for myself too, because I wanted to train with these dope women. But it also, I it was like, oh, now I got a dope event. Like, that's part of it. Yes. Like, let's all celebrate together. And then I got to start bringing like all these women from around the world to teach. And it was just like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, it was like just a fun time for me to hang out every year. Right. And then I was like, but what kind of impact am I making? And I know that just by having it, it's having an impact, but I still like, I need more. I need to contribute and give back more. And so there's a lot of work happening around that. And that's kind of where I am right now in my life, in my career. It's like, how can I give back? And so Girls in Hip Hop started because not only is it a way to give back with free classes, but it's specifically meant for BIPOC girls, right? Black, Indigenous, Latino, women of color, right? Girls of color, because we're disappearing from the culture that we created. And I know it because I throw a festival that over 90% of the people are white, or non-American, not even that part, right? And so that I know it hurts and to hear, I know it's tough to hear. It's hard for us to, because hip hop culture is being supported by everybody else but us, right? And so that I really want to create a space where, not that it's knocking anybody out and not saying that you can't belong and practice and love and celebrate the culture, but you can't have this without us. It can't happen. You know what I mean? And so that I'm really trying to focus on that. I'm trying to give back. LaTasha, myself, and Efrat Ashiri from Efrat Ashiri Dance and Mawu are doing also a thing called the Artist Toolkit, where we're working with younger female dancers to so they don't have to stumble through how to write a resume and an artist statement and how to apply for a residency. And so we're doing mock applications and that kind of stuff. So that's the work that I'm really interested in now, more so than being the center of attention. I mean, I would love if Ladies in Hip Hop can continue, hopefully with somebody else running it. So I'm still doing that work. And then we're doing a project called the Black Dancing Body, which once Tasha came along, it really kind of took off. And this is a project around focusing on Black bodies in dance, Black female bodies in dance, because we're also not the focus.
Oh, child, you done muted yourself. Wait a minute. Come on. I rebuke that spirit. Come on.
Ooh, sorry. And I just said, this is where I'm going to end. It's just important to have these spaces and validate who we are within these spaces and embrace that. I feel like as Black women, we're taught to hide very often for so much. And I just, for me, need it, so it's in support of who I am and helping me come through. Like, how many times have y'all seen me with my natural hair? Like, I mean, I've been natural since I was in my 20s, but you never see it, I'm always in braids. I'm always in a wrap. I'm always, I either had locks, like some way of like toning the Blackness down, and I don't know, Rock came through with this Afro a long time ago. I don't know why I wasn't embracing it back then, but it's a journey that I'm on, about accepting who I am, accepting that I can and have made a career in hip hop culture, regardless of what, people think it should be and what it should look like. I've defined what it is for me and I'm still working in it, I feel like I've wanted to hide that. I've been in these spaces, in these corporate spaces, and I literally have been living two lives for like the last 20 years of my life, working full-time in TV and production in these very white worlds where I'm like one of two Black people. And then I have this, whole other hip hop world that I don't want anybody to know because people still kind of like shame me for it, right? You still do that stuff? You still do hip hop? Meanwhile, I got a festival like where women are coming from all over the world, and that's not even enough to validate and empower me to like step out of that space. And so I got to use it. I've come full circle in life, and this being in this quarantine is part of it. And we have to recognize who we are in these spaces and take a hold of that. And I'm sorry, I know that was long. Tasha, come on through.
We're not apologizing. I rebuke the spirit of apologetics.
Cool.
Whatever.
Listen, this is why I always went to New York, because there was really nobody in Boston like that was holding it down for a long time. That was a Black woman when I started doing it. That's why I kept going to New York. I'm just like, I know this jam's happening there. I know I'm going to see these people. I know I'm going to see people I don't see all the time. So thank God for you guys. Thank God for it. And another thing is, like, it's not easy being the risk taker in your family. I don't know if you guys know a lot of people in your family who are doing the same thing as you do, but when you are on a path of redefining your life and, like, you know, it's not an ordinary thing that we're doing. It's not normal. It's not bad. It's great, but it's not normal. So I think it's like realizing that if you're the risk taker in your family, like, it's you're consistently redefining how to live your life. So kudos to y'all.
Come on through, Tasha. But I'm gonna just want to ask Rock one question too. Rock, do you find now that you're teaching at a university, you get more validation? Like now it's a real thing? Because Tosh, you know, I'm not that it matter. We don't need that stamp. Somebody said that earlier. I wrote it down.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, I think I barely even use it when I'm, introing myself to a group. I just like rock, she, her, like, I'm like, repping hip hop women decade. I barely even use it because it's not really a part of my culture, but it's on my resume, and like what Aysha read, it's there. But, if anything, I feel like they should be including me when they talk about the new school university. They should be like, and did you all know we have Rokafella here? Because I think I give them like an up. It doesn't help me to say I'm a professor when I'm at, the neighborhood rec center. It doesn't really help me, but, I'll take it as it comes. I don't have an MFA, but I know what I'm talking about. So, but I hear what you're saying. And I guess in other conversations at some point, it will probably, it'll probably work. It'll probably open a door or ease people's, So I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Hip hop is saving these universities. Don't sleep.
Come on.
Right. Also, higher ed is just a different type of currency. I say this to my students. I teach at Harvard. So I say this, it's just a different type of currency. It is not the only currency, it's just a different type. If I go to Japan, I'm gonna need some yen. It's just a different type of currency. The dollar is valuable where it's valuable. You need other types of currency. Hip hop has its own value. Academia has its own value, but I do not put academia above just because the stuff I learned from Northside St. Louis is what has been wealth inducing for me. And I'm gonna shut up and bounce past to LaTasha, who might just rock herself right up and out of her chair.
I mean, I'm trying to calm myself. I'm not making any promises, and we already talked about not apologizing. So, I mean, if your feelings get hurt, you can investigate and interrogate your responses and reactions on your own time, because we know our triggers are our responsibility to manage, right? So, with ladies of hip hop, like, it's been absolutely mind bending. And it was funny that you said that, Aysha. Like, I know you guys have ladies of hip hop in common, but I know that's not the only touch point. Michelle and I are starting to get on each other's nerves with how many common experiences and idioms and isms we have in common. Like, literally, before we were getting on today, we were touching base just about some other things. Came on a Zoom conference with each other, both of us playing intro. Like, intro of all the things from all
Nobody
of the playlists.
even knows that group. You either got to be from New York or Philly. Like, no one knows. Or DC, I have to say.
And if you don't know intro and you claim in to rep hip hop culture, I'm gonna need you to get your whole life together. I'm just gonna say that right now. Because if you don't know Let Me Be, we got a problem. Anyway, I digress. So to your question, because Michelle so beautifully talked about like her why. And I, just like Michelle, like I was grateful to have the experiences that I did when I stepped into dance as a profession or as a way of life. And I was with Rokafella on that. I was 27 when I came into the game. So, you know, was late to the party, but still in the background of the party. Like if you look at some of those famous portraits, like I was the one in, like in the back corner, like right. But what's, and wrapping into what B said, like it, excuse me, LadyBeast, whole name, my bad. It really was a full circle experience because the music and the movement really required me to challenge and investigate and interrogate in many cases my sense of self-regard, my relationship, not just my knowledge of, but my relationship with these identities that we put on characterization and energy when it comes to performance. And it still is a continuing dialogue that I have with myself because, you know, I've been taught, oh yeah, this is a feminine thing. And it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, okay, but is it a feminine thing if you learn how to really hold that embodiment from a man? Well, yes, but and also, however, comma, I'm just saying. It's all the things. And it's like, again, like we said, yes, and also, however, comma. That's a whole other conversation we can have another time. But really, not so much just trying, like we were saying, trying to find these definitive answers, but challenging what this culture absolutely has done unequivocally is help me to challenge my perspective about the information that I carry and how I present what I know of myself and of my culture. And that is what we are aiming to arm all women and girls with through Ladies of Hip Hop programming. And this is something that, you know, I've said to Michelle before, I was starting to say this. I had men in my early parts of my journey at 27 to teach me how they were thinking about gaining and holding space. And that's something that is undeniable when you see early footage of me and Toyin dancing, because I mean, I think we need another word for aggressive when it comes to how she and I approach ciphers. I'm just saying. Like we're talking about with all of us on this panel. Good luck to you if you're trying to get in on the cipher around one of us. You might need medical attention thereafter or therapy. Like either way, it's a thing. Sorry, not sorry. But we want to arm women and girls with the capacity to move as aggressively as they choose. And that's not to say like, oh, they always got to come out swinging, but to actually have an understanding of, well, if I really, really want this and I approach it this way, then yeah, I can hold this and I can own it. However, understanding that holding it and owning it is only in as much that you pour into it so that you can hand it off to someone else. Teaching interdependency through the beauty of this culture, its connectedness through the styles, its connectedness through the Black dance continuum. And Black, for those who continually get confused, is meant to include BIPOC people. Yes, Black, it is African American in its origination, but Latino, Indigenous people all contribute to this. And we need to continue to have that conversation and to teach people how to open up their perspectives and their language when we're talking about this thing in celebration with each other. And of course, like I was saying about triggers, one of those things is to teach us that like not everybody's trying to personally offend you when they're trying to understand themselves in relation to something that they love. So breathe and communicate. It's the same thing we do in the dance. And that's what especially the Conversations with Her platform is aiming to do, giving the women that have inspired us and that we're continuing to work with to build space to talk more about themselves, not just, as I like to say in lectures, not just the regurgitatable facts about who they are, what they did, but what they were thinking about when they had these moments and who was in the background, like really inspiring them that they want to elevate, or different things about themselves that is important to them that most people don't know. Like we just had Comfort on, and most people had no idea that she has journalism background, no idea that she, you know, loves to look at clouds and other random imagery and see, stories within. And it's like, no wonder you tell stories through movement the way you do. You always looking at things and creating something. Like, just, yeah. But making space again, like it's making space, teaching the value of space, teaching how to hold and transition that space, and how to hand off that space to others. So yeah, I mean, the main things are interdependency, self-regard, acknowledgement, especially for your critical heritage, your cultural heritage. So that's why, working with Michele, she's been able to make space for me to continue to bring jazz into the discussion. Because if you're talking about hip hop, you're not talking about jazz influence. I don't know what you're doing with your life.
That part.
And being open to learn, like I know there's so much I don't know and so many stories that I want to know. And I would say like Rock's documentary, I shared that as well, like with my class of like people to follow. So within the course I'm teaching right now at UW-Madison and women in hip hop.
Pause, because you didn't let me say that part in your bio, but could you just enunciate and pronunciate real good for the people what your class is and word is?
Hip hop women in the world. And, and basically, we don't start at the hip hop timeline. We start in the 1830s when people started miscoding Black culture and started taking it and putting it on stage without our names, without us being recognized or any acknowledgement, right? And so we started on a timeline of just understanding that you have to understand the history of Black people in this country and around the world in order to understand why you see what's happen and why it's a problem, because people don't understand why we feel so passionate about like respect and honoring, those who created this, right? And then, so my job is to explain that, but it also is to like uplift and acknowledge my students with the things that they don't know. They thought they was gonna come in and learn some TikTok dances. Good luck, because we spend an hour every week lecturing on a topic that they probably like. I lost a couple. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I lost a couple that was like, oh, this ain't. I thought we was learning hip hop. This ain't hip hop.
That's called pruning.
Yeah. Oh, getting rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of what we don't need. But like listen out the folks, telling them like you should follow this person. You gotta. Our job, like what Tasha is saying, is to be able to take what we've been given and give it to others, and give it in a space like, yeah, higher education doesn't matter, but it does, because in order to change the mindset of people who don't grow up with this culture, so who enter it at a different date in their lives, didn't grow up with music, didn't grow up with dance, don't understand that community aspect and why it means so much to us, then it does matter, because they don't get it. They don't get, I mean, like the whole semester, the students have been like, I thank you. I don't even know what to say. Like, thank you so much. Like this is not what I expected. And I would not have known any of this stuff. I would not know any of these people, so it's not even, you don't get in there and tell your story and teach your dance. You get in there and you tell the history. Right. And I am telling my story. I'm telling my Philadelphia perspective, my history with my mom and dancing. Like that's all we can do. But things like this, like I already then wrote down like 3 things, something that Rock said. So, so that when I go back into taking all the notes, every single thing that I'm on, right? I'm here learning too. And that I am going to now take these quotes back and put them back out in the universe from the people that they came from, right? And so this is how we then pay it forward, and we lay the groundwork for us to work together as a community. I know I've been trying to do that. I've been a mouthpiece for it, but I'm actually doing now. It's hard. It's hard to like exist in all these spaces and do all these things. I think we all have such passionate, we have such passion for what we do, and I know I'm a kind of person, I want to help everybody to the point till it's my detriment, and I'm learning, that as well, like how to exist in that space of like supporting and helping without giving myself away. And so, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Come on in here, Rock. You got something to say.
I'm just sharing. Listen, we are like, this is Cypher, right? I'm just saying, because also I think like, in another episode, in the next episode, yay, we could also unpack, labor and burden and work and passion, and how how do we hold that and take care of that in our bodies, the same vessels that are putting forth work as creators and educators, and what's the balance? I'm gonna just say, we all hear that like learn how to say no. I've had to tell myself, and maybe I'm still working on this every day, that I am relearning and embracing, where's my quote? Because I write it somewhere, boom, aha. Understanding and embracing parameters as restoration and liberation. I am embracing parameters as restoration and liberation, first, necessarily for myself, so that then the work in the communities I'm called to, it can be more fully manifested. So, you know, like I heard you had dropped something off earlier about, you know, continuing the work, right? Because, you know, all the cocoa butter and jelly in the world, you should get also to have your divine rest, right? And so I think, you know, that's another part of this is like, as women, all of you all are such leaders and organizers, and like y'all, folks who have maybe not are just coming to know these divine humans. If you go to any of their pages, you will get link upon link upon link about work and conversations that they are either facilitating, celebrating, censoring, elevating in some type of way. That also comes and work in our bodies, right? And so even thinking about how we can be queuing up for the girls who are with us and coming behind us, how to understand like this physical work that we're doing, how we hold the work of doing the work, and, you know, and rewrite what is, you had mentioned earlier in the chat, LaTasha, what is normal, right? And so y'all know, first of all, y'all better catch this chat, because the nuggets upon nuggets that are being dropped here are just delicious and scrumptious. I'm gonna ask and task our fantastic folks to do something challenging. So I'm gonna give you a preamble, give you some time to think about it. So the question that I wanna give you all is to go from an asset base, not from the like, oh, we have to correct the misogyny and the sexism, and all of those things are real. Well, what is it that being a woman in hip hop, what's the asset? What's the thing that like we have that like folks are still not yet paying attention to? Because some people want to pay attention to women in hip hop, because we haven't been paying attention to women in hip hop. So there's that part of it, yes. But what's the asset that we bring to this culture because of being women, right? In my other life, this is giving y'all time to think. In my other life, where I thought I was going to be like the U.S. ambassador to the UN and learning about state officials, they said even women in those roles had to quote unquote suit up, that they were women in the role only because of essentially their genitalia. But the role had been written and scripted by men that women would actually work as men in those roles. So we don't know what the benefit of having, it's been a while, but it's still taking time for us to understand what does it mean to have women in leadership who are not leading as genitalia women, but acting as men. So what is the asset that the assets that hip hop culture can open itself up to by embracing women, our womanness, the fullness of what that means? So I see Rock unmuted first, so she in the double dutch rope first. Get it? Oh.
Right? Oh my God. Y'all remember the telephone wire?
Yes.
And she would wake up your freaking calves when you made a mistake. Like,
Yep.
Oh,
It made the best noise though.
yes. Rhythms. Props to all the double dutchers out there. We know. In all the women's events that I've been to around the world, like this is one in Belgium, right here, you know, the one, you know, Ladies of Hip Hop, it's always like this awareness of struggle, this compassion of the journey that I feel from the women who are like standing on firm ground. The women who are still uncertain, not sure, what are they following, where they're going, it's okay. Like I put in the chat, you still gotta do your rounds, come back to the water when you get that intuition, because I think that I understand from when I first jumped into breaking, I had already done like the house, the New Jack Swing, the Uptown Styles, you know, all of it. When I came into breaking, I realized that the other women, there were so few women who were breaking. They all had that same bruise right here from the windmill. We all had to pass each other Kotex in the bathrooms when we would run into each other, even though we were battling. All bets were off in the bathroom because it was like, yo, does anybody have a tampon? And we got to be like, yeah, girl, I got you. You know, outside the bathroom, it was like, you know, but in the bathroom, I got you. Yo, what do you need? Pad, tampon, cup, what do you need? You know, so just seeing that from jump, I was like, we need sisterhood, we need solidarity. And, you know, it started to actually formulate. And when I would go to MC events or women DJing, carrying, you know, helping each other with the vinyls and stuff, I just felt like women had this other attention, this other awareness of struggle, of journey, of I got to do something. I got to, like, you know, Michelle saying she needed to provide a space for women just to be, because all this other stuff is happening and there was nobody carving a space for us. So I just feel like we've been doing it. And if people were to pay attention a little more to the people whose boots are on the ground, we could really make a ripple effect. Like we can really shift the way women are thinking that they have to show up. You know, I don't have to show up to annihilate the other women or annihilate the men. You know, I was a feisty, fiery B-girl because I had like a score to settle. But once like I got established and people were like, oh yeah, Robin, then like I was like, why am I so angry? Like, what? Okay, let's flip it and let's start to recruit. Let's start to talk history, culture. Let's go. Let's build programs, shows. You know, it shifted because I wasn't as angry. That's why I say, like, for the women who are standing firm, like on their own too, and know what's up, they're just more conscious of the deficit, the pain, the racism, whatever, you know, all the isms. So I think that intuition and that consciousness is something that men still haven't found the righteousness yet. They're still like fighting and ducking, and just trying to, like, you know, eat, you know. So, but yeah, that's just my perception of. You know.
Well said. I would say one of the things which is a really dope asset, us as women showing ourselves, I think just showing up as ourselves is a great asset. And also being able to express that, okay, so I saw this thing with Dave Chappelle, right? And he was getting, I think, the Mark Twain Award. And I watched it on Netflix, and he said a quote where his mom told him, he's like, sometimes you have to be a beast so you can be the lamb you really are. So what I realized is, like, it's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to have that rage as long as you can encompass it into an artistic form. You know what I mean? So I think bringing that of yourself as a woman, you're showing how, like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show that there is some type of emotional safety when you're in an environment where you are battling other people. For me, if I'm battling someone, I feel so emotionally safe. And that's something that's not like easy to explain, but I think one of the assets is showing how it's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to show, like, it's okay to have mean, whatever, non-feminine facial expressions or anything like that. Like, just bringing yourself and showing yourself as who you are is a great asset, and just showing people that there's different layers to us. We're not just like dancers. We're not just teachers. We're not just this. Like, it's just a great way to show who you are and be as original as you can be. The end.
And I'm gonna be quick because I know we're running out of time, and I want LaTasha to chime in on this as well. But I think, and I'm thinking through this as I'm speaking because it's a loaded question. But I feel like because we are, as women, the place where everything starts, right? We bring life into the world. that we have a power that once we recognize it and bring it into the space, that it's unmatched. I think, you know, whether you're a mother or not, you came here that way, right? Like, and when we get to that point in our lives where we realize that power and we embrace, you know, who we are. So whether you're a super feminine woman or whatever, wherever you live on that spectrum, and all those things align, right? It's just, I mean, it's impossible to stop us, to not recognize us, and then to put us together. That's where the real energy and power is, right? And so I really feel like, and women, listen, you can read any book, you can talk to any woman, you can talk to any man. We have the ability to do all the things, right? To multitask in ways and exist in ways that men just don't. It's a fact. It's a fact, proven fact, right? Me as a mom, I can tell you 100%, he can't do what I do. And he can tell you he can't do what I do, right? And so again, once we recognize that, and I think, just, you know, speaking to what Rock said, the level of resilience that we have, I mean, you know, not to get too deep, but you know, we start fighting off men at like 11, 12, you know. So when people are talking about this Me Too movement and all that, I'm like, what, yo, we've been here, we've been fighting for, you know, like fighting off, you know, my mom was single. Sometimes boyfriends like just looking at you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying, let's talk about it. You know, like we've been dealing with this as girls, so that when we come into these spaces and we become whole and, you know, or are able to be filled in by other women that are there, it's just we're unstoppable. And that's where I'm starting to feel now. I didn't always feel like that, but I'm starting to feel that. And like these kinds of moments, honestly, this is another kind of like, yeah, we doing it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I just feel like the power that we bring to spaces, and the resilience and toughness and experience that we bring, because we start experiencing things as kids, and bring that into our adulthood. And so yeah, I don't know. The end, as B said.
And just to backpack what you were saying, Michelle, it's in everything that everybody's talking about, and it's also mixed in with our intuition. Like we've had that. We were born with that. You know what I mean? So if we have that intuition from a young age, and then we're growing into our own and we're following it into the cipher, like that's a whole other thing. Our intuition is a huge part of it as well. Just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. Huge part of that. Like every point, all the things. Seriously. So LadyBeast stole my answer. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm just joking. I'm joking. But this fullness of being, like, absolutely. I wasn't gonna do it, and I know Michelle knows, like, it already affected me earlier already today. So I'll close out with that because it's poignant. But there are several things that came up for me in that question, Aysha, and like I'm gonna try to be as succinct as possible. I guess my mantle right now, in addition to artivism, it's interesting they all start with A's. I wonder what that's about. Something for me to dissect later. In addition to artivism, are acknowledgement and authenticity. And it is this acknowledgement of self that society attempts to try to distract us from, particularly with labels. And we can have another conversation about labeling theory and all of that's ridiculousness. But like this idea, like when we talk about ourselves often, even when we have these conversations with other women who we know are doing the damn thing, just a dancer, just a professor, just a mother, just an artist, or even just a multidisciplinary artist. Like, so because I've done all these things, I can't at any other one point in my life decide to be singularly focused. I don't. This lack of acknowledgement, as Michelle was saying, of our our ability to do and be all the things, and not just in that trope of being the perpetually strong, capable, do-it-all woman, but literally our ability to see through and to see into, like, we don't know those are different things. Yeah, we have a whole other discussion about that later. But, and in that, for me personally, and Michelle knows that I live for this, to see through to the places of pleasure and joy. And that's not, if you have ideas about sexualization when I talk about that, you need to address that for yourself. But pleasure in what we do and who we are and like the knowledge that we carry and how we can inspire other people, those things are perpetually denied, even by other women to other women sometimes. Because if I'm so excited about this space that I'm in that I want to put my head on the ground and start clapping things, then you should just celebrate. And if you can't, I mean, put your feet on the wall and join me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But to not be, one of the things, the main thing for me is that acknowledgement of self, like all facets of your joy, of your pleasure in who you are and what you do at any given moment. That is something that I feel is severely lacking. And that acknowledgement is what leads to authenticity. And we're always talking about that in sharing of the dance. Like, oh yeah, you can do the steps, but I don't see you. Yeah, because half the time you're not giving people space to see themselves. So of course you're not going to see them in their movement. So yeah, you can't teach what you don't do. Mm-mm. And that's a perpetual journey. Like, it's not, but giving space to acknowledging that it is a perpetual thing. It's something that we do every day. Every day I get up and ask myself, what do you want? How do you want to see it? How do you want that acknowledged for yourself? On the days that I say, I don't know, I go back to sleep. I hit the snooze, set it for 30 minutes, and I try again. Like, let me hydrate before I lay back down, because some synapses aren't firing. Y'all ain't ready for today yet. But actually acknowledging that, like, again, it's seriously acknowledging the journey, acknowledging the fullness of self, and making space for yourself to be that, so that you make space for others to be that. Because I'll tell somebody quick, I'm actually 5. Like, you can come at me with all these 18-syllable words and all these policies and processes, but I mean, the closer you get to Christmas, the less things are going to make sense to Tasha, because 5-year-old Tasha is running the show. So you're just going to have to deal with that. I'm just saying.
That's the name of another episode in the podcast run by LaTasha that's called, we'll get into that later. That's the name of your podcast series. Michelle's series is Shea Butter Jelly. I'm just saying. No, is it just me? 5-year-old Tasha runs the show. It's like a 2-part episode.
Bruh, you gave me life when you said that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. Thank you for saying that.
We all, my friends said, there's a little girl, like, as women, like, there is a little girl. I don't know, and I should just say that, like, I'm not here canceling out and meaning to minimize this conversation to one manifestation of women, of womanness. Like, we are, as Michelle alluded to, there's a spectrum. So my little Aysha, she be in here, right? Like, she be in here. Sometimes she ain't supposed to have a driving wheel, though. You know, sometimes 5-year-old LaTasha ain't supposed to have a driving wheel. 5-year-old Rock, you know.
See, she don't know that, though.
Right.
And because I'm trying to empower her, as we're trying to empower all these, sometimes I just let her do what she do.
Which is beautiful. I mean, I don't think that it has failed you, because you've had about 50 lives that are going to be featured in your podcast. And we are all yearning and learning from. Like I said, sign me up. When you create that link, you share it and let us know. But, you know, yeah, sign me up. Everybody on this panel is amazing. And, like, clearly we could be on here keying and building, like, for years. However, I like to say this in class. I'm going to invite us to a semicolon, because Lord knows, don't nobody really know what a semicolon is. We just know it's not a period. And it's something like a comma, like something else gonna happen and is attached to it, but it's not the end. So we're gonna get to a semicolon in our time today. And we do have a tradition. I invite folks who are still on with us to stay with us. Where we invite our panelists to a wrap up, where we invite you through whatever modality feels right, whichever way the ancestors are speaking to you. If you want to dance it out, if suddenly, you know, in another life, I think I was a dope MC, but I just forgot to be that in this life. But if you feel like your MC life is kicking, we are going to have some sound. Oh, snap. So, oh my gosh. So yes, Juli knows that when I'm nervous, I rap in Spanish, but see, I'm not nervous today, so nobody gets to notice that. Thank you, Rock. Are there any, I know folks have been asked for you all social handles, and we've been dropping those into the chat. We are live streaming in other places. However, when I pull up the window, the sound comes on and messes with us. So I'll ask Remy and Michaela if they see any. But do any of our attendees have a question that you can drop in the chitty chat, chitty bang bang, watch them, do they think they can't? Okay, anyway, I went to another place. I'm sorry, in the back. I'm back. I do also feel like LaTasha and I were in the same pod. Jaslyn also, I don't know if any of you all know Jaslyn Gowdy. Everybody's like, yeah, everybody know Jazz. Jazz is also my birthday twin. Jazz is a dancer. Jazz is a fierce scholar, fierce artist who is now in Boston, but hails from Milwaukee. So that's why she was giving you Wisconsin love for your class, Michelle. She teaches at Berkeley here in Boston, but she is very much an advocate for particularly women of color in these embodied scholar artist places. So if you go on her IG or her Facebook, you probably gonna see yourself on there because she can shout it out your work some type of way. What I want to also just ask our panelists to do as a close before we go to our wrap up is if you have anything upcoming. She's a friendly IG stalker. That's called research. Let's reframe it, rename it. Research. Google Scholar IG. What's the difference these days? You know what I'm saying? If anyone has any upcoming events, LadyBeast, I know you do. I just want to give folks a time to chat that out.
Apologies. Yes, so on November 29th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, there's going to be an event called Cypher for Change. It's a free event, just free entry. Just come on down and dance with us. There's going to be a DJ there. And today I also announced that, you know, like $100 each for like Cypher King and Queen, just to make it, just to spice it up a little bit. But it's a free entry, and but the maximum of people that can come is 25 people. So you can download an Eventbrite ticket online to just make sure you can lock in your spot. And basically that's what's going on, and just trying to stay productive and doing digital art and, you know, just doing another form of therapy. And it's basically it. Just relearning myself again.
I also am here to make sure that like y'all don't get any misconceptions that LadyBeast is small. Her art is fantastic, self-taught, and freaking amazing. Go to her IG page.
Incredible.
And hire her to do some work. I did it, love it. And you drop that coin, the bag. And the cipher that she is hosting has been a work in process for moments, and to find a place outside in the middle of these pandemic times, and we up here in New England. I just also want to say that like your work is not small, and it's great. So it is live. It is an in-person thing. Somebody had asked, is it in person or is it virtual? There are lots of amazing virtual ciphers. This one will be in person. Perhaps we'll figure out if there's a way for people to voyeur in. Excuse me, I mean just like see it. I didn't mean to say voyeurism. So yeah, that's coming up. I know LaTasha, you're doing the Her chat conversations. I be watching them.
Yes, we actually, and I think they're going to rebroadcast it again, but we just had a versus battle with the amazing Soul Define dance company on DC Dance Place's platform. And we labeled it as a battle, but it really was just a celebration of Black dopeness. That's all it was. You're welcome. Yes. And it was fantastic. We played Kahoots. If you're not familiar with Kahoot, like it's kind of addictive and fun. Like you should, you should really do it. Also, as you shared in my bio, I'm on the board for the International Lindy Hop Championships as well. And we have that festival coming up Thanksgiving weekend. Another aspect that we're working to shift the perspective and narrative. And I know a lot of people hear that and you automatically think like the broader population. No, I'm talking about Black people. Show up for your own shit. How about that? So jazz and Lindy Hop needs more Black representation. In order to get more representation, we need more eyeballs. In effort to bridge that gap, also, we've started the Black Lindy Hoppers Fund. No, you don't have to be a Lindy Hopper or a jazz dancer already. You just have to want to learn it. BlackLindyHoppersFund.org. Come on through.
That's not a podcast. That's a commercial. Yes.
November 21st, Girls of Hip Hop.
Yes.
Our next session.
Hot girls, because in lieu of your aunties who can't be on that. Rock, you got coming up?
I finally, I'm sorry. Just for Girls of Hip Hop, for Girls of Hip Hop, I finally got someone to translate it to Spanish for me. So I will be posting it. It took me forever because everybody that I know that's Spanish speaking is like, oh no, I speak like Spanglish, and I couldn't translate it for me. So, or like I speak it, but I don't read it and write it. So it's been a journey to try and get somebody to translate that for me. But if you know anyone, it's LaTasha Tweedy Busy, who is a young New York DJ and dancer and just all the things too. And who else? Oh, Chi Chi. And they're all it's all for girls 7 to 17. You must identify as a BIPOC girl. And because a lot of people keep asking me, what if you're not Black or what if you're Latino? Then this is not the program for you. This is a program for them. So it's free. All you can sign up for all 4 classes. You can sign up for 1. We had girls that were in the 7 to 12 age group that then came to the 12 and up. So like whatever, but just come through. It's a really dope time. It's an hour. They're really short, 45-minute classes, I think. And then like a little chatting with them after. So that's the main thing. And then we're going to have like a digital festival, a digithon. We're going to have a digithon, not a digital festival. Sorry. We're going to have a digital fundraiser the first week of December. And that's just like fancy way of saying we're just going to be sharing a whole bunch of like throwbacks and behind the scenes. But everybody on here, I know Full Circle is a nonprofit. I know the Black Lindy Hoppers Fund is a nonprofit. Ladies of Hip Hop is a nonprofit. Y'all want to know what you can do? Don't just come, donate, support. These are people who have been doing the work for years. Rock laid the groundwork for a lot of people to come through and create their companies and create their nonprofits. Support them. Donate money. We need money. Like, love you, but donate the money.
Boom. Boom. She said what she said.
She said, love ya, but
Michelle,
we need the coins.
What date is that? You said the first week of December?
For the because Giving Tuesday is December 1st, so it'll be all during that week. Yeah. Okay. So Giving Tuesday, when you're feeling like giving, here's 3 organizations right here.
Okay. Cool.
And the Girls of Hip Hop is November 21st, so that's coming up next.
Okay.
Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Little too old for that. I just missed the age cutoff. Rock.
Just a little. Just damn. It's so close, Aysha. Yeah, right. I mean, I always had something going on, but I think the one thing right now that's like really burning, it's been burning since June, is something called the United Hip Hop Vanguard. And it's just been like national discussions. First, it was like, Black Lives Matter and that whole discussion about who's Black and who owns hip hop. So that shit was deep. That shit was crazy deep, trying to swim through those waters. But at this point, we're just trying to reintroduce hip hop, right? The culture into breaking and the dance first. We're not going to go into like rapping or DJing until we get the dance together. So those are like Wednesday meetings. There is an Instagram. It is an effort. It is a united effort to reintroduce the culture of hip hop. So generational dialogues, mental health, emotional support, sisterhood. There's like, different committees that are starting to be formed right now. There's no website. There's no 501c3 just yet, but it's just a movement of people who are like trying to go beyond the competition. So, and we're not saying that the competitions are bad. They're great. It's just, there's gotta be more. And I have to stop seeing you as my opponent. I have to start seeing you as a human that has all these other layers. And so the United Hip Hop Vanguard is what I've been, you know, kind of teaming up with people from all over the US who just, you know, we just want change. And we are the change. And some of you already, like, right, y'all already doing it. It's just, I also don't want to burden people who are busy. So, you know, it's just like trying to get people who could be leaders, but are dancers right now, because the leaders are busy. And so as I've invited a few of them, like in August, most of them are like, Rock, I love you, but I'm drained. Sorry, I'll catch up later. So, but that is something you can check the IG out and just, you know, follow it so that then when we put the notice for the next national meeting or regional meeting, Northeast meeting is coming up. If you have time, because y'all are busy, please join us. It's a Zoom and it's usually like, you know, 1 hour tops, you know, and I have a Google document I can share with you prior to you showing up to the meeting. So you're up to speed with like the 5 points of action and the manifesto, but that's about it.
More than the top rock. What? Let's go.
Ew, you know, it's so scary. I put in UN and it came up already, which means my phone is listening to everything that's happening tonight.
Man, that man be listening. Well, that man can show up and get some coin too. Listen, I also, so I want to thank our panelists. We're going to move to our wrap up to close it. I also want to just say for anybody who's joining and you are in a position of some type of leverage or access at an institution, I advise you to get a department to cop Rock's documentary, add it to the school library, add it to your syllabus. It blessed my class's life. Because again, she's out here a whole ass queen, not just dancing. Again, it's like, you know, LaTasha's saying we can be all these things and we can also choose to be singularly focused. So Rock is one of these women who is doing a lot. All the ladies say thank you. Like there's a whole like school package. So, you know, and if you want to learn how to help your department understand how to get it in their library, see me, because we did that dang thing. So yeah, just want to say that. So family, I think DJ Rimcycle got a tune for us. If you want to be seated, if you want to stand up, but we're gonna dance it out. We're gonna do this like Cypher style and spotlight your video, and we're gonna be like, go so-and-so, go so-and-so. We are in the same space together. So Remy, when you're ready with that sound, we're gonna get it popping. Well, I'm not.
She says she really grew up boy like me. Don't believe in nothing but the Almighty. Just a little jeans and a pure whitey. She never dream forever be nobody wifey. Yeah. She well, I mean a pretty but your heart is a miss. Play you like a villain cause she caught in a way. Tonight I am walking away. 9 to 5 mind and a grind. Yeah. Tonight I might fall in love, depending on how you hold me. I'm glad that I'm calming down. Can't let no one come control me. Keep dancing and call it love. She fights it by falling slowly. If ever you are in doubt, remember what mama told me. Brown skin girl, your skin just like pearls. Your back against the world. I never trade you for anybody else. A brown skin girl, your skin just like pearls. The best thing in the world. I never trade you for anybody else.
Pose like a trophy when Naomi's walking. She need an Oscar for that pretty dark skin. Pretty like Lupita when the camera's closing. Drip broke the levy when my Kelly's rolling. I think tonight she might pray her break. Melanin too dark to throw her shade. She went to business and went away.
You make me happy. This you can bear. You split right beside me, yeah. And I won't forget. And I really love you. You should know. I wanna make sure I'm right, boy, before I let go. Now we had a good time that
for a nigga to get some babies. A handful of Weezy, sprinkle of Dave East. Man, I ain't got no type like Jimmy and Sway Lee's. But if he can't fuck 3 times a night, piss. I tried to fuck 50 for a powerful hour, but all that nigga wanna do is talk power for hours. Beat the pussy up, make sure it's a KO. Step your banks up like you moving that yayo. Somebody go and make sure Karuchi okay though. I heard she think I'm trying to get a coochie to Quavo. They always wanna beat it up, coon up the pussy. Man, maybe I should let them auto-tune up the pussy. All these bow wow challenge niggas lying and shit. Many Fetty Wap niggas stay eyeing my shit. Drake worth 100 million, always buying me shit. But I don't know if the pussy wet or if he crying and shit. Meek still be in my DMs, I be having to duck him. I used to pray for times like this. Face ass when I fuck him. Man, Uzi is my baby, he ain't taking the L. But he took
baby, shoot.
Right, y'all. Y'all know we have.
Not you.
The bow-legged one.
Here I go. Here I go. Here I go again, girls. What's my weakness?
Men.
Okay,
Oh my God.
Yo, you wanna know one moment where I was like, yeah, I really do love to dance. I was like in the 5th grade, and my music teacher would let us like perform on stage, just like this little mini stage after we learned like our little musical lessons. And I remember picking Shoop and this girl named Shannon, who was my friend at the time. I asked her, I'm like, let's go up there and dance. And she was like, okay. So then Shoop came on and she totally froze. And I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to keep going. 5th grade, she was like, here I go. Singing things I shouldn't be saying in the 5th grade.
It's okay. There's a
We all did it. We all did it.
Yes. There's some Luther Vandross songs. What I know about me and Mrs. Jones. I know I was singing about the fair. What's going on? What's going on? We know.
Okay.
There's a grace period.
Oh, yes.
But you amazing queens. Thank you all so much. I look forward to continual connection, collaboration. I pray y'all get some water. Drink water, take a nap, eat real food, and dance when nobody's looking or when people looking.
Listen, I want to give a special shout out to you, Aysha, because you're doing a lot of wonderful things in Boston, and including Harvard and hip hop and the scene. So I want to give a major shout out to you. This girl done met Angela Davis. She done met Rakim. She's connecting with these people, and like, we're very lucky to have you here in the scene as well, because it's up and down here, and you've been a beautiful, magical asset. So I want to just give you some flowers and some magical dust to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Iron sharpens iron. Thank you all. So we're going to keep this Good Love Fest going all week long. Hip Hop HERstory. Tomorrow, we're talking about Queens of Scholarship. So talking with various women scholars, artists, educators who are doing amazing things when we think about hip hop education. Wednesday, we're talking with Dr. Halifu Osumari around her work. Yeah, I'm so excited around her work on the hip life. Thursday, we are talking about The Keepers, which is endeavoring to be the first digital archive for women in hip hop and girls in hip hop, led by Akua Naru, who is a dope MC producer. And Asmira Hamori Davis will also be there. And Friday, we're having a jam. DJ Nomadic is going to be spinning all the classic tunes from femmes in the world of hip hop. So we're just going to party out for the whole week. But again, thank you for those who joined us as guests. Thank you for my amazing sisters. Like, I give y'all a divine seated 2-step and slide. And just one time, let you know I got your back. And have a good evening, everybody.